I met a wonderful woman a couple of years ago called Trisilla Holborough from Refap Proprietary Limited. She's doing incredible work in Indigenous communities in WA, and we were so delighted when she decided to join us on 100 Days for Change. Trisilla, thanks so much for everything you do.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's go back to the very beginning. Can you tell us a little bit about your own business journey, Trisilla?
So I've pretty much come from a very male-dominated industry, being brought up in the Pilbara, and also being a traditional owner, being Aboriginal. So when I first entered the industry in the 90s, into the earth-moving sector and construction, there was very few and far women that were doing that at the time. So it was quite hard. And one of the other things too was that racism played a big part. So sometimes it was safer to say that you weren't Aboriginal because that was one of the barriers. So
yeah, right.
yeah, so if you can sort of slip under the radar, then that's pretty much what I had to do.
And what encouraged you to start Refap?
So I moved around the Pilbara, I worked for many companies in the mining industry, quite a lot of the larger ones. And then what happened was in, I think it was 2009, I was quite fed up with how we were going backwards, especially towards women, and also specifically towards Aboriginal women. And what I found that was, so for example, I applied for a job that was in my category, but then the division of this particular company chose to offer me a lower position because I was told they didn't want to set me up to fail because the position was for an Aboriginal person. So that sort of threw me back. I took the job anyway. And and so from there I just had a few challenges in that department, and then I'd had enough and I decided, well, I want to start my own business. And so I did.
Sounds like that experience really lit a fire in your belly to change things,
It
not
did.
just for yourself, but for others.
And and I was also seeing it happen to quite a lot of other people in that industry, especially females. And so, so I called it Refap, which is Real Employment for Aboriginal People, because I really wanted to target that audience as well. Yeah.
So exactly what does Refap do?
So Refap, as I said, so when we first kicked off, it was just about employing Aboriginal people and Torres Strait Islander. We have quite a big Torres Strait industry there. And it was just be able to create jobs and also know that it's run by an Aboriginal person.
And also create jobs away from the mining industry to
Yes.
diversify those skills
That's
in the
correct.
area as well.
Yep, that's correct.
How many employees do you have now?
Around 60ish, I think, 63, 64. About 85% is women that we do employ, and that's in senior leadership roles as well. And probably around, don't quote me on the figures at the moment, but around the 87 mark, I think, are Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people.
And your business
Which is
has
quite
won many, many awards as well.
Yep.
I mean, how does that make you feel that you've created something so huge?
Pretty proud. I didn't realise it was going to be this big. I sort of started out and thought if I can just do something in my community and make a difference, that was a good thing to do. But, we've gone nationally and we've even gone globally. And I ended up going to Prague one year. I was fortunate enough to win another grant, and that took me to Prague to talk about unemployment and employment issues in Australia, which was really, really good. Yeah.
So you're affecting social change as well
Yes.
as business change, aren't you?
Yep.
And what are these new businesses you're working on at the moment?
Okay, so under the Refap banner, we decided to, because we had to wait, so there's a lot of mining companies, as you know, in camps, but all the laundry is being sent to Perth. And the contracts were tied up for 10 years, so I actually had to wait. So it's been 12 months in the making, and we had to wait for the tenders to come out because it's quite an expensive feat to get into that industry. And so we were lucky enough to secure a 5-year contract with a major mining organisation to be able to start a commercial and dry cleaning. So that creates one employment in the commercial side, sustainability for 5 years, and also the dry cleaning component, because at the moment there is no dry cleaning in the Pilbara. So, and that creates more jobs in itself.
Yeah, it's very clever. And what about the bush lolly idea?
Yes, and so the bush lolly idea came because obviously there's not enough Aboriginal food that's being sort of marketed out there, and we have some beautiful foods that grow, in Australia pre-settlement, for 80,000 years or so. And so we wanted to create bush lolly, which is named after the guttural tree, which is a wattle that has a particular lolly on it, and we eat it. It's quite a enjoyable little toffee that we enjoy. But also the fact too, it was a bigger vision as well, that if we did actually want to take this across Australia, there was an opportunity maybe as a franchise down the track to be able to say, well, if we were to move to Sydney or Melbourne or anywhere else, it gives a Aboriginal family the opportunity to be able to start their own bush lolly franchise, and that's going to create more employment in their areas. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Why did you decide to get involved with 100 Days for Change?
One, because I like the idea of it and it's time, and it's really good to see now since my journey in the early 90s how far we've come, and just to empower and embrace that, and especially now with the younger generations coming through. And I do a lot of mentoring at schools, especially with Aboriginal girls especially as well, and just being able to educate them from a school level right through to say that you can do whatever you want to do, you know, you can achieve that, which is good.
It's really powerful. What advice would you give to other companies who are thinking of getting on board with 100 Days for Change?
I would say get on board, because one of the most things I think is that we need to empower women. We need to get rid of that stigma that, especially in a male-dominated industry, that's got to go out the window. And I think this, you know, we just need to empower more women, especially Indigenous women. I don't think there's enough of us doing what we need to be doing, and we're some very smart, educated women out there that just need to get on board. But also, I'd also like to see a lot of major companies to jump on board as well and support 100 for Change, because that's how we're going to empower our children to be able to step up and be leaders in Australia.
Trisilla, thank you for everything that you do, and thank you for your support for 100 Days for Change.
Thanks very much.